everybody. Welcome to what I've learned about myself in grad school. And this week is reading week, so I apologize for that. I accidentally turned on this little puppy speaker, and I do not know how to turn it off, so it's probably just gonna yell at us throughout the whole video. If anybody has any suggestions, let me know. The power button to turn it on is the nose, but apparently pressing that again doesn't turn it off. And I mean, flicking its tail makes it mad. But yeah, I have no idea what to do about this. Anyways, he's gonna just chill right there, and then you guys can see when I get mad at it. Anyways, so this week in grad school was reading week, so I didn't really cover a lot of new material and just been studying, working on papers, and busy. But I did actually learn something, and I figured it might be a good idea to start talking about some of my personal mental health concerns and how they're affecting me in my studies. So, I have dermatillomania, which is known in the DSM-5 as excoriation disorder, and is also known as compulsive skin picking. Now, like you see all these little dots, you may have seen me even scratching during my videos without even knowing it, but like all of these are from me picking, and I just can't help it. Like, sometimes, a lot of the time I don't even notice I'm doing it, and a lot of the time, even when I do catch myself, my mind gets stuck in the cycle where it's like, no, I have to get rid of this, I have to fix this spot on my skin, and I'm actually have a lot of scars. It's been something, it usually starts for people either at the start of puberty or the end of puberty, just because of those hormonal changes. But for me, I've had this for as long as I can remember in some form of or another. Like, I can even think back to maybe even being 5 and having some sort of skin picking going on, but since then it's spread to other areas of my body. Like, I used to just do dead skin off my feet, and then it got to spots on my arm and my face and dead skin behind my ears. Thank goodness I don't pick at that anymore. But then eventually it moved to my chest and my legs, and when I lost a ton of weight from having stomach surgery, a lot of what I was told is there are a lot of toxins stored in my fat that ended up coming out through my skin, and my stomach got covered in zits, so now my stomach is full of scars. And, it's really frustrating. I don't want all of these scars, but I don't know how to leave spots on my skin. I don't know how to leave little bumps or scabs or anything. Like, I just really get stuck in the thought that I have to get it out and make my skin better, even though really I'm just making my skin worse. And I currently have multiple infections on my skin, and like, it's only recently that I learned what actually is an infection. Like, I've been having infections on my skin for years and years without really knowing it. And so that's frustrating. I've been given some cream to deal with that, but nobody really knows how to treat it, the skin picking, which, like, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. I mean, I remember bringing it up to counselors in the past, and they just assumed it was some sort of self-harm behavior, like I was doing this to hurt myself and punish myself. And, like, I knew I was really depressed at the time, and, like, I was like, I don't know, maybe subconsciously that's it, but I don't really think so. But because they gave me that suggestion, for a while it did turn into a self-harm behavior on top of just the compulsiveness of it. So, like, I really feel like people really need to be educated on this. Also, about 2 to 5% of people have this disorder, and just people don't know about it. I think from my recent readings, there's only 3 maybe professionals in Canada that are trained in how to treat this. I had no idea you had your own music. How do I turn you off? Stay off, please? That was distracting. But yeah, it's horrible that nobody knows what to do with this. It is currently in the DSM under the OCD umbrella, or obsessive compulsive disorders, but studies have shown that it may actually be linked more to addiction because of the reward process that goes on in your brain, in the brain chemicals as you're picking. Because, like, yes, with OCD, your brain will reward you for participating in some of the ritualistic behaviors and kind of calm down your anxiety by doing those behaviors. And I think that's applicable to the compulsive skin picking too. But, what also happens with compulsive skin picking is, like, if you're trying to pop a zit or tweeze something out or actually cut something out, it causes you pain, which causes the brain to release chemicals to help you deal with the pain. And those chemicals kind of also act as a rewarding thing to keep you picking. So, and that's part of why there's a bit more of an addiction component to it. And, like, it's weird. I get really zoned out, and I can go for 2 hours straight picking without even realizing it's been 5 minutes. And it's like, I feel so bad about my skin. I mean, like, that's one of my infections. And yeah, like, I got all of these spots. A lot of that has actually been from where I have been studying. And I just realized over reading week that is one of the habits I have when I'm studying. I'll just be scratching at everything. And then I noticed a lot too that I'd be trying to study, and then I'd catch myself just getting distracted and picking instead of studying, like I was being avoidant. So that's not good. I guess it's good that I'm starting to learn my things that trigger me and stuff like that, but I just don't want to deal with the picking anymore. I don't want to have to be dealing with infections all the time and cleaning up blood and digging holes into my skin. Like, I had a pretty bad phobia of needles and stuff going into my skin, which I think is part of why I was picking. But, like, I never used tools to pick besides my fingers until very recently, because I got over my fear of needles and putting stuff under my skin. And yeah, like, I just get into this frenzy. No, it's not a happy frenzy. And, like, I won't let anyone help me. I'll lock myself away so people can't stop me. I'll be covered in blood. And it's like, I was actually thinking I was gonna have to go get stitches. I dug holes so deep. And not just one. Like, it's usually one at a time when I'm doing that, but multiple times it's happened now. And it's really alarming that 2% of people deal with this. In Calgary, that's at least 20,000 people. At least. And yet nobody knows how to deal with it or how to help people get through it. I know there have been people who have gotten through it. I have this documentary that my fiance gave me that I've been really wanting to watch. It's called Scars of Shame. It's the only documentary I know about compulsive skin picking, and it's about a woman in Nova Scotia who really struggled with this and got better. And she was my age, actually, when she did this movie. And she was picking 8 hours a day, which you can imagine how disruptive that is. Like, you have so much other stuff to do in life. You can't spend 8 hours a day just picking. Yet, I mean, here I am spending at least 2 hours a day picking still, and I'm always so stressed out, and I feel like I never really get to have a break for myself. And, like, yet I spend so much time getting stuck in this, and it's exhausting. It's really exhausting. And I guess more education stuff. It's Dermatillomania is a subclass of body-focused repetitive behaviors. Some other ones are hair pulling and nail biting, and there are more. But in the overall category of body-focused repetitive behaviors, I think that it's 5 to 10% of people who deal with that. And, I mean, I've heard a bit more about treatments for nail biting, but, I mean, I've been really, really digging around to try and get some help. And I haven't been getting the help I need. I did start a prescription that's supposed to help people with OCD, and it did help me for a bit, but I'm worried that it might have been a placebo effect because I'm picking just as bad or worse than before now. So I'll have to talk to my psychiatrist about that. But I did find that there is a support group throughout some of the major cities in Canada. But I tried to contact that support group and haven't heard anything back. So that's been disappointing, to say the least. And, like, I just want people to know that this is out there. It's super common, and yet still nobody knows what to do with it. It just blows my mind. I think it's because people are too ashamed to talk about it. Understandably, like, who wants to admit that they tear their own skin open on a daily basis for hours at a time? Like, and most people also cover it up with makeup or always wear long sleeve shirts. Not me. Look, there's another infection. And, like, I just never really thought to hide it. I mean, I was embarrassed by it, and I mean, I've always hated makeup. That's kind of a personal thing. I'll wear makeup if it's like a super special occasion, and I'll wear it to make it look like I'm wearing makeup. Like, I'm not wearing the natural colors, I'm going rainbows. But, I mean, it's just so hidden because there's so much shame and embarrassment, and a lot of people, I mean, I was brought up I got in trouble over and over and over for this behavior, and I got told off, and the impression was that I could just stop it on my own without any help. It was just a habit. But it's so much more than that. I mean, I'm starting to try and teach myself now that, yes, I do have control. Not as much control as I do with other behaviors, mind you, but I do have control, and that's been helping me at least the past couple of days since I came up with that, to kind of, when I catch myself picking, I'll just repeat that in my head over and over and over, and I stop a lot quicker with that. But that doesn't stop me from going back into picking again like 2 minutes later. So, it's rough. And I'm a lot more okay to talk about this now than I used to be, because, like, I see it's in the DSM now. Finally. Like, it wasn't in the DSM before the DSM-5. It was just... Sometimes the lack of mental health help available makes me really, really angry inside. And just, not just for dermatillomania, but for everything. Like, I could talk on and on and on about this. But it's getting to be a bit of one of my longer videos, so I'm gonna leave that venting of anger until another episode. Anyways, if other people out there are dealing with this, you know, I'm here for you. I know how hard it is. I'm sorry that I don't really have a ton of advice on how to help, but at least we can not feel alone in our struggles. You know? It helps to have somebody who really understands. I haven't met that person yet, honestly. Like, as far as I know, I'm still the only one out of my circle of people who has this. And, like, I know other people who pick in a way, and I know my mom has the trichotillomania, which is the hair pulling, but, I've just been dealing with this on my own for so long and feeling so angry at myself for not being able to stop. But now that I know that it's not just a bad habit, it's actually something's not working right in my brain, then now it's a bit more acceptable to me that, you know, it doesn't feel like it's my fault. Well, you guys all stay strong, and, you know, I really hope that any of you struggling with a mental illness learn to not be ashamed of it. There is a ton of stigma still. It's getting better, but understand that the stigma is really scary, and it also gets really internalized when our mental health is bad. Like, we get so upset with ourselves, but I mean, we can't control our brain chemicals. There's little tiny things we can do to influence it, but I mean, it takes a lot more work than people seem to realize. You know, you guys take care of yourselves and girls and everything else in between and outside of that whole box. I tend to say guys a lot, just referring to everybody, but that's a little patriarchic? I'm not sure what word to use for that, but yeah, take care of yourselves, be selfful, and I'll see you next week.